The following program is rated GE. It is suitable for general family viewing.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of The Grind. My name is Hibaq Said. This week we're going to be talking about public relations, marketing. How exactly is that working out? If you have a business, it is very important to establish a brand. So how do you establish that brand? Of course, we're going to be having our entrepreneur and analyst of the week, but first let's have the market margins. Around 85% of Kenyan businesses are either micro, small, and/or medium enterprises, which means a majority of marketing and public relation costs seems like an unnecessary luxury. However, branding and having a media presence has undoubtedly had positive impacts on different businesses, sometimes doubling or even tripling the income and sales. So how has the perception been like for public relation firms in the country? Well, as companies continue to evolve, there seems to be high competition in the PR agency business. Reports by the PRSK estimates that there are at least 105 PR agencies in Kenya, with 9% being large, 14% medium-sized, and 82 being small. The proliferation of agencies and consultants in the sector implies the need for differentiation for survival. And has this driven the number of practicing professionals? There are many colleges and universities offering certificate and diploma courses in Kenya. However, a few number of the institutions are offering PR degree courses. To put this in context, 30 institutions offer certificate courses, 40 offer diploma courses, and 11 offer degree courses. It is also estimated that there are at least 8,000 plus in-house practitioners in Kenya employed in the private, public, and NGO sectors. This as PR agencies estimate revenues to around 2.42 billion Kenyan shillings, and this is computed from budgetary allocations and income of PR agencies. Now, since we're talking about public relations, it's very important to have someone who has been in the field. Patrick, maybe if you can start by introducing yourself. What is your agency like? Why did you go into PR?
Hi Hibaq, my name is Kimani Patrick, like you mentioned. I'm an entrepreneur, Kenyan youth, and I got into PR because I have a background training in communications from the University of Nairobi. I studied Bachelor of Arts. A major in communication and economics. But over the years, I started out with a business magazine, which I ran for 7 years. But I discovered quite a lot more about communication and PR, digital. And that is how I found myself running a PR agency. We're actually a PR and brand strategy agency.
Now, when it comes to your agency, of course, when you were starting out, there were a lot of challenges. What are some of the things you went through?
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say I've faced challenges. I'll be very honest with you. And the reason for that is because unlike other people who sit down and do a lot of planning, do research, do planning, put out resources together and rent out an office, hire a team. You know, the way we were taught how to start a business when you were in school. Now, for me, it's totally different. Is the story of one thing that led to the other. Like I mentioned, I started out with a business magazine when I was a third-year student at the University of Nairobi. I launched the magazine immediately after uni. That is, I did a launch event. Mm-hmm. And after that, I started doing events. After doing events, people started reaching out for social media management services. They started out reaching out for storytelling services. They started reaching out to me for things such as events organizing. They reached out for publishing for them. And that is how, over time, that was between 2017 and 2021, I started discovering these capabilities that I have and the market need. So it is customers' needs that led me into starting my own agency. And how that happened is, in 2021, I registered Carlstick, the Carlstick Group Limited, to offer PR services. And that time, I was just alone working from home, started looking out for clients. So the clients' money financed everything else, setting up an office. And then when I set up an office, we had more work that required me to hire people. And that is how we have been able to grow over the last 2.5 years. So I can't just sit down and say, I can pinpoint, well, a couple of challenges here and there. But the truth is, our company has been demand driven based on what clients are looking for and asking from us. And also, most importantly, our look at it is, where we are today in June is totally different from where we were in May. It is totally different from where we were last year in December and in 2022. So in as much as there could be a little challenges here and there, everything is leading us to the next level of our growth as an organization. So we have been growing not so much fast, but every day we are making progress. And that is what I'm so much proud of, instead of just tracking the challenges that we are facing.
Right, of course, it's very important. Let's focus on your clients a little bit, right? So when it comes to having public relations, marketing, a lot of MSMEs would say that that's, you know, the business of big businesses. Yes. What would you say? What is your clientele like?
This is what I would say. One of the misconceptions about public relations is that it's all about media outreach and engagement. But PR and communication, there is so much that gets into it. But where it all begins, it begins with brand building. When you sit down and you want to set out, you want to start a company, you want to build an identity for that organization. The visual branding, come up with a logo, come up with a good name. You register the name. You want to select your company colors, the typefaces, the fonts. You want to, come up with a logo and a good brand identity system. The business cards, the website, how your office is designed like. And at the same time, you have goals that you want to achieve for your organization. Whether you want to get more clients, that means you need to do sales and advertising, you want to generate leads, or you want to do community outreach, you want to go and do engagement with your stakeholders, with your clients, or you want to do media, extensively reaching out to a wider market, depending on the scope of your market. And at the same time, you will be interested in building your thought leadership. All this is communication. And PR essentially is all about storytelling for your brand. It's telling your narrative. It's telling your stakeholders, whether it's your internal team, that is the team you have internally, your employees, or your customers, or the publics, people who may be potential customers, or the investors that you have. There is a message for each one of them, and you need to specifically package a message for them that is directly relevant to them, that you intend for them to take a particular action. So when you map out all that, and then now you choose the channels that you're going to use to communicate to them, that is all about PR. So it's not just about media. Media is just one of the channels that you can use to communicate or to actualize your PR goals or communication goals.
Right, so you essentially have to be a people person.
Well, not necessarily, because as the leader of an organization or as an entrepreneur, you can be technical. Technical means, sorry, let's say you start a technology firm. You're the person who is behind the scenes making things happen, doing the coding. If you start a furniture shop, you are the one who is the fundi, the carpenter, and doing the things. But you can hire someone who is good in people skills, who is confident in the media, and can be able to go and tell your story.
Kimani, of course, you've been in this landscape for quite some time, since your uni days, and of course things keep on changing when it comes to PR and branding. How has this landscape changed?
Well, to start with, PR and branding are related in terms of their part of marketing communications, but they're different. And how things change is because the consumer needs, in as much as they remain the same, there's a lot of competition out there in the market, and there is a lot of there's need for brands to differentiate themselves from their competitors. There's need for brands to communicate and come closer to their customers, and that is why you see some media stations or some brands do things that we call activations. They do road shows because they want to come closer to their customers. So how things has changed is the way we interact with the customers is changing, and the question is, how can you be different in making the customer experience with your brand totally different from that one of your competitor? And your competitor, it could be direct or indirect competitor that is giving your customers a better experience that makes them feel better and gravitate towards that brand compared to yours. So things change based on how customers want to interact with you. I've seen people complain about one of the telcos. You cannot be able to reach them. You only talk with the bots. Everything is automated, and people are feeling bad. There's a time the same company started using AI images in their marketing initiatives, and people are complaining, saying we used to see our young people, the influencers in these companies, billboards. Now we are seeing faces that we can see are AI generated. And that loses the human touch.
Right.
You get? And you see it now, people start feeling now we cannot own this brand any longer because we cannot relate to it. They're using images they have generated of people we cannot know. But now, if you use the people that we know, if you use somebody like Jogosh or any other person that people can be able to relate with, they own the brand. So it is the same thing that is happening with every other brand. How do you communicate? How do you relate with your customers in a way that makes them feel involved, that they can own your story, that they can own your brand, and they can see we are part of this? Yes.
So it's essentially creating the human touch. And speaking about creating the human touch, we're going to be going for a very short break, but when we come back, we're talking about how you can make a campaign, a public relations campaign, and how that can change your business. Don't go too far. Welcome back to The Grind. Of course, before we went on a break, we were talking about public relations. How do you relate with the target audience or with your potential customers? Before we go into our analyst of the week, let's look at our business capital. So how can you brand your own business for better public relations? 1. Determine your goals beyond sales goals. Businesses often set brand goals. This may include increasing customer retention or building a premium brand that commands higher prices than the competition. 2. Know your target audience. Understanding your target customer is the key to creating a brand that resonates with them. By conducting market research, you can uncover customer preferences and interests, such as which social media channels to frequent to discover products. 3. Establish your unique value proposition. A unique value proposition is your product's competitive advantage. It describes how your product or service solves your customers' pain points or meets their expectations better than the competition. Creating a UVP means understanding who the competition is, the needs of your customers, and what your business offers that others can't. 4. Identify your mission and core values. Customers are increasingly choosing to buy from ethical companies with a clear mission and values that align with their own. Consumer trends have been leaning this way for years, with Gen Z and future Gen Alpha consumers leading the change. Featuring core values on your website and in your marketing messaging can influence how customers and investors feel about your brand. 5. Identify your mission and core values. customers are increasingly choosing to buy from ethical companies with a clear mission and values that align with their own. Featuring core values on your website and in your marketing messaging can influence how customers and investors feel about your brand. Tell your brand story. Once you've established your UVP, core values, and voice, piece them together to tell your brand story. The most obvious place to tell this is on an About Us page on your website, but mission-driven companies and founder brands may choose to incorporate this story into their marketing strategy. And right from the numbers and the data, let's look at our Analyst of the Week. Now, our analyst is going to be Kimani, who was also our Entrepreneur of the Week, just giving us more insight into the world of public relations. Before we went on a break, Kimani, we were talking about how a person can, make a campaign for themselves, a public relations campaign. Can you maybe take us through the process of making a campaign for a company?
Now, number one, or first things first, not every company needs a PR campaign. It depends on how huge your target market is. At the end of the day, you can't run a local shop and you want to do a campaign in the media. Maybe your campaign could be you want to sensitize your people about a new product that you introduced in your shop, or you run hardware that deals with paint, and now you have one of the leading paint manufacturing companies on board, and you want to sensitize your community about that they are here, and you may want to, you're targeting the local market. I mean, if you have a hardware where we are in Thika, it is very unlikely that you're targeting people in Juja or Muranga. You're targeting just people within the neighborhood, and so your campaign could be hiring, printing out some flyers that are nicely done, that communicate about the new changes about your hardware or what you've recently introduced, and then hand them over to, people in the neighborhood, motorists in the neighborhood. You could hire people who go door to door, or you could hire, the guys who are skaters skating around the highways. And that is for a small business that is targeting, the local community. But let's say you are a real estate company, or let's not even talk about a real estate company. Let's talk of a big company that is in FMCG, that is a fast-moving consumer goods, and you have a new brand of ungaya ugali, and definitely you want people to start consuming it. So what you need to do is, it starts with what exactly is the goal of your campaign. Mainly PR campaigns are for creating brand awareness and brand engagement. And when you set out, you say, now we have this new product and we want to introduce it into the market. We want the market to know about it, and not only to know about it, increase its market share. And by increasing its market share, it means you're making more sales because you're entering into a competitor's market. So how it begins is, you identify the unique selling points of your product, and then you need to identify your target market. Of course, mainly you start with a specific segment and market. There is a primary, secondary, and tertiary. So when you identify your target market, you need to identify their actual personas. Who is my customer? The name is Kimani. What kind of current brands is he engaging with? Ama anakula unga from Galigani. And how frequently does he do that? Where does he shop? Which media channels does he use? Digitally and the mainstream media. And where is he likely to, to be, the highways he's likely to be using in his commute. So when you identify that, now you know exactly how you will reach him. So you create up to 3 to 5 personas of the 3 different people you want to reach, and you identify the areas in which the means you're going to use to reach him. There is direct selling. You can go do activations in supermarkets. You've seen people branded in supermarkets. I don't want to mention any brand. You've seen adverts on YouTube. adverts on TV, on radio, and along the highways. So those are the mediums that you're going to use. But then now you have to go and ask yourself, which message are we going to pass across? Which personalities are we going to use? Lately, we are so much huge into influencers. If you see, if Kimani is an influencer and is very popular and is very well known because of maybe he's a musician or a comedian, when you see him on Billboard, you want to know, what exactly is this guy doing here? I mean, it's relatable. People can be able to look at him and want to see what he's saying on the Billboard or on the TV. So when you identify now the people that you're going to use and the creative assets that you're going to use, you also need to ask yourself how long you are going to run this campaign. What will be your key performance indicators, the KPIs? How are you going to track the effectiveness of your campaign? Now, when all this has been planned, now you have to launch. So you have different avenues. You're going to use billboards, you're going to do digital, you can use Google, Meta, TikTok. You can use influencers, them posting, creating content on their pages. You will use radio, you will use TV, and then now you come now to measure the metrics. What are the number of brand mentions that you're getting on social media? Number two, what are the number of hits, that is the traffic that is being driven to your website? And then when it comes to now the mainstream media, you're going to ask yourself, because mainstream media, to be honest, it's very difficult to track. So you have to measure it by, you're looking at, we wanted to increase our market share to this percentage, and by that you are looking at how fast is our product moving. Right. Have our sales increased, to which margins? And when you measure that, you also have now to ask yourself, is it translating now to profits that you are looking at? So you measure every aspect of it, and then within the specific period, let's say 3 months or 6 months, you sit down and say, we've been able to achieve our targets or not.
Right. Yeah. Now, of course, what you said is essentially customizing whatever you need for whatever brand you're going to be, having as a client at that time. Let's talk about consumer trends. Consumer trends are always changing in the age of social media. How exactly are you keeping up, and how are you helping some of the brands that you represent to keep up with consumer trends?
Now, consumer trends change almost every other day. And the main reason is there's something trending almost every other day. You've seen in the recent month, there's some very funny, I don't know how to call it. Somebody is on a motorcycle and then they fall, and then they make a transition. Right. Into, this one was having an accident, and now before that accident happened, instead of you seeing them in the accident, you're seeing another person advertising something. Someone was falling off a truck, and then before they fall, you see now they're falling in a supermarket, and then...
And it's mostly on TikTok.
Yes. Even on YouTube and Instagram Reels, on WhatsApp statuses, and all these platforms. So the key question is, every single day, you need to... When you hire an agency like us, part of what we do is media listening. And media listening is not just digital, but even on the mainstream, and looking at what is currently trending. And ask ourselves, how exactly can we use what is currently getting attention from our target market to our advantage, and then we create a relatability. So that is the key aspect of taking advantage of consumer interest. Right. So consumer interest does not just go into people now are moving to more healthier lifestyles, which is totally okay. But now what is currently influencing them? Right. What exactly are people giving more attention to? That is why you find an upcoming influencer or a musician. Brands will quickly go to him because this person is getting increased publicity, and they want to reach him fast, engage with him before their competitors do, give him like a 5-year contract to be a brand ambassador. Of course, they will get low rates, and they will lock it, and they will be able to use this person to their advantage. Right. That is why you see tour companies, a teacher, a nurse goes, they dance and sing to the patient, and now people are sharing about her story, and now a tour company offers to take her to a holiday. Right. or another person does this, they take that person for a holiday. That is a marketing strategy. This is what people are giving this person a lot of publicity, and they can ride on that publicity, and by doing so they grow their brand by getting more publicity, and at the same time they are able to win the souls of people because they know this company is awarding Kenyans by doing what they love.
So Kimani, in our conversation, I feel like we've been concentrating on large companies a lot. When it comes to branding, of course, we have a lot of MSMEs across this country. How exactly do you cater to that niche market?
Well, to be quite frank, our target market is not MSMEs, but of course I have a word for MSMEs. Number one, when it comes to small businesses, you will find if you go to where you stay in the neighborhood, I don't know whether you are like me who loves to eat ugali, githeri, so once in a while I'll go buy tomatoes, I'll go buy onions and all that, and everybody has their favorite mama mboga. Right. So if you ask them the reason they go to this person and not the other one, they'll tell you this person talks to me nicely, I'm able to make an order and maybe they are able to deliver, I'm able to tell this person pack this for me, so immediately I come from work, I just pick, I don't have to wait. And maybe the other person is not willing to do that. Maybe your favorite mama mboga is always picks your calls and calls back. You get, like my mama mboga always packs for me for free. You see the carrier bags that the supermarkets sell to us, the one that I buy from never sells to me, and that is part of good customer service, which is part of branding. So branding is not just about visuals and all that, it's also about customer experience. How good are you in terms of your communication? How neat are you? How organized are you as a small business owner? That is also part of branding. And that experience you give to your customer, it makes them feel good about you, feel appreciated, and feels that you understand them, and that keeps them coming again and again and again.
Thank you so much, Kimani, for those insights. As you know, in any business, the customer is king. Ensure that when you're selling your products or when you're giving services, you always ensure that your customer comes first. That's all we have for you this week. But do remember that you can engage with us on our socials at the bottom of the screen. Until next week, same time, same place. My name is Hibaq Said.